Welcome to this course, Power BI Data Analyst PL 300. This course is a Microsoft certification, and though the intention of this course is for you to go through the PL 300 course outline, but the real intention of it is to put this into use such that your everyday data activities will be more pleasant, because with this course, if you are able to put the knowledge, which I'm sure that you will at the end of the day after you go through this course, you'll see how better your life will be, because when you generate codes through the UI, and when you get to the point of developing those code beyond the UI, whether in Power Query or in the model with DAX, then you'll see how efficient and repeatable those solutions will be, and how less of your daily wrangling with data, your daily chores with data, will be a more pleasant thing. I encourage my fellow accountants to look at this course very seriously, because we as accountants play with data all the time. We want to analyze things, and to make that life of yours as accountants be easy, your month end, your quarter end, or your year end to be pleasant, to join this course. It's not only restricted to accountant, but I'm an accountant, so I know what we do on a day-to-day basis. It's hardly that you will have a role that you will not play much with figures. And the beauty about the Power BI product, whether it is Power Query or Power BI generally or DAX, it's repeatable, meaning that when you have those codes or those solutions, it's just merely you browsing for new source of data or dumping new source of data into a folder and refresh the solution so that you get the answer you need. So the rest of your analysis will be pleasant, meaning that you've done all the cleanups, which normally take 80% of your time. You don't have to do that. And Microsoft and other vendors have provided us with tools that will help you to do that. We don't need to go through that scare of the month end anymore. And I know other professions do have the same thing. So next is about the instructor. Well, my name is Ashiru Newland, and I'm a supervisory accountant with few abbreviations behind my name. Relevant to this course is I am Microsoft Certified Solution Associate Business Intelligence, MCSABI. I am thrilled to embark in this journey with you, anything Power BI Data Analyst PL 300. I am very specific with what I'm saying here by saying Power BI Data Analyst PL 300, meaning that I'm telling you that what we are about to do is anything that has to do with the course outline of Power BI Data Analyst. So that leads us to the objective. The objective of this course is to enable viewers and learners to be effective and efficient in their daily data encounters. So that's purely what I want this course to be. So you can be an accountant, you can be data analyst, or anybody playing with data that has to deal with data on a day-to-day basis, so that you have more pleasant life. So next will be the course outline. We'll start with get started with Microsoft Data Analytics. Discover the data and get started building with Power BI. Then we'll move on to prepare data for analysis by getting the data into Power BI, We clean the data after we got it into Power BI, transform it, and load it into Power BI modeling section. That leads us to 3, which says model data in Power BI. We'll design a data model in Power BI, and I'll take you through the introduction to measures using DAX in Power BI, and of course we'll add calculated columns to it, and then we try to optimize the model. And by optimization of the model here, we mean making that model works faster and more efficient and effective, but more so more flexible. After the modeling, the next natural point is visualizing the data in Power BI. We work with the visuals. We create a data-driven story with Power BI reports, dashboards, and we can create paginated reports. So the next step is data analysis in Power BI, wherein we can look our data in the form of the modeling tables and the visualization. We look in depth, start asking questions, and we have special visuals in Power BI called AI visuals that we can use, but generally we perform all sorts of analytics on the model that we develop. The last point is to look at how we manage the workspace and data sets in it, create and manage workspaces in Power BI, manage data sets in Power BI, and implement row-level security. So this is the course outline that we have for PL 300, but we need to understand that Microsoft reserved the right to change this, so it is onus on whoever wants to take the examination, especially so after going through this, to pop into Microsoft's site to see the course outline to ensure that if there is any change, you have it. But if you're working with me, definitely I'm checking the course outline, and if there is any change, I'll go through the changes and update the course as we go along. So let's jump into the introduction to Power BI. But in getting to know Power BI, I just want to tell you that this tutorial will take you through what is Power BI, its components, and workflow. But this word workflow here sends some signal to me right now, and I'll go back to the course outline. So what you see here from 1, 2, 3, 4 to 6, this is the workflow. So the first thing that really you do is to understand about discover the sources of the data that you want to work with, and you get started building with Power BI. But in doing that, your step 1 is to prepare the data for analysis, which is to get the data. But you have to discover the data before you get the data. So it's really actually 6 steps. You discover the data, you get the data into Power BI, you clean it, design the model, optimize the model, visualize with the model, then you perform analysis to answer to the real questions that you take up on all this journey. And you also need to manage the workspace after you've created all these reports. So we browse through. So what is Power BI? So Power BI is a collection of software services, apps, and connectors that work together to turn your unrelated sources of data into coherent, visually immersive, and interactive insights. Your data may be an Excel spreadsheet, a collection of cloud-based and on-premises hybrid data warehouses. Power BI lets you easily connect to your data sources, visualize and discover what's important, and share that with anyone or everyone you want. So this is a definition directly from Microsoft, and I took it verbatim for a reason. Microsoft has spent a lot of money in research, and they built their tools and they've defined it. I don't want to go and give another definition of Power BI other than what they gave. Also, we need to understand the parts or elements of Power BI, which are mainly three. So these three parts are the Power BI desktop, the Power BI software as a service, which is the Power BI service, and the Power BI mobile app, which is for Windows, iOS, and Android. So beyond those three, Power BI also features two other elements, which are report builders, where you can create paginated reports. We get to that. It's not much to of paginated reports into the PL300, but it's likely that you need to understand what a paginated report is. We'll get to that. And also we have the reports server. So some organizations will not want to publish their report on the service due to some other security restrictions. So this server is there to help them to do the same, but using a server. So the flow of work in Power BI is simply, as I said, from the course outline itself. You flow from connecting to data sources in Power BI desktop, building reports. After you build the report, you publish from the desktop to the service, because it's easily consumed from the service, because you just need internet connection. You connect to the report, view it, and consume it, which will mean that you look at the report, you view the report, and you do some filtration to get more intimate and understanding of the reports in front of you. So this workflow is common, and it is mostly what we do even if you're not using Power BI. The next point is a detailed introduction to Power BI service. But for now, the intention of this course is really to get you to what is Power BI. But before going to the detail here, which should be in the next module, I want to bring up the real software itself, the desktop, so that we have a look and feel of it. So beyond the slides, let's get to Power BI. This is the desktop, and when it comes up, it will always pop up with this screen, which is the getting started screen. If you don't want to see that, all you need to do is to click this button that says shows this screen on startup. Once you check that out, then you will not see it the next time you start. But I like it. I like to see things that are new, so I always keep it there. Or mostly I always have the intention of doing these classes, so I always put it there so I'll remember to talk about it. And if you look at it, you'll see on this side it has my name, showing that I logged into the Power BI desktop, and it says the news. Take a look at what's new and improved in Power BI in this month, because the month every month we have updates. We have forum where you can go to other people that are using Power BI. So if you have problems, you can channel them to me, but you can also go to the forums to put your questions there. If I cannot go to what you're doing, the forums, trust me, will answer that. And there are people who put a lot of effort in giving knowledge about Power BI. They use their blogs, and of course Microsoft has its own tutorials and the like. So on this side, you'll see various components of Power BI. You see here, these are videos actually that you'll go through to learn Power BI. You have the Getting Started Power BI desktop videos also. And on this side, which is the left, you have, of course, the Power BI desktop, as of course showing you that this is the desktop. You have the Get Data experience, where you can simply just click this to browse and get the data, or you go to recent sources, or some of the recent sources will be listed down here. You can just click on them, or you can go to other reports that have not been opened most recently. But in order for us to go through out of this, we can click out of here. But just to let you know, more importantly, I'll only click this, get data. When you click the get data, then it will give you the experience to really get data, wherein you will have the all, which you can browse all through to find the source that you want to use, or you can go to file to slim it down to all the file based sources, or you go to database, which will list all the supported connectors to databases. The platform, the Power Platform, which will give you Power BI, data mart, data flow, common data service, which both of these are legacy, meaning that Microsoft is intending to deprecate them, Dataverse and data flow. And you have Azure. These are all the sources that are supported for Azure. And you have other online services, SharePoint online list, Microsoft Exchange, Dynamic 365, yada 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 yada. And you have other sources that are not under these categories but are still in existence, like Active Directory. So as a security analyst, you can connect into Active Directory and start analyzing things of people logging in into the system. You can create dashboard that will customize to the client's need. And of course, at the bottom here, you have certified connectors, which will lead you to a place where you will see all those connectors that Microsoft are certified themselves. So let's click out of this because we don't want to get data right now. All we want to look at is the Power BI desktop itself. Let's maximize it so that we only see Power BI desktop. So when you look at it, this starting point says add data. So just like we click to add data at the welcome page, we can have data. We can add data from here for Excel, SQL, or we can have blank table, or we use Power BI data sources, sample data sources that we'll have to use anyway in this course. And on the right hand side, we have panes. 3 panes now showing, but we can have more than that. The other panes will be contextual, meaning that they will only come up if certain activities that you're doing in that context will show up, like the properties pane. So we have the fields pane. If you have any data, then you'll see the field. And for the purpose of us really going to this exercise, I'll upload the Adventures Work Sales so that we can see how it looks like. So I'll just take the first few sets of data here. We'll explain about the navigator. This is actually Power Query Navigator, and all the connectors, you will see them later. So let's click transform for now. I'll explain the variation between the two. So once we click on this, what we have here is Power Query. We'll also have a separate introduction to Power Query, as we are having a separate introduction to the Power BI desktop. Of course, the Power Query is part of the desktop, but really it's a component on its own. This is the real estate where we actually do the cleanup of data. It's very important because hardly these days you do not have some form of files that you'll have to clean. Mostly when you have files, you'll see they will have headers which will tell you what the report is. But when you do analysis, all those headers are not part of what you analyze. You can keep those data as needed somewhere, some columns or somewhere, but you can extract those out to do your real analysis. So we'll get to this, but for now, let's just click at the Home tab and then click at Apply, Close and Apply. When we click that, it will load all the data that we have connected to the connectors from Power Query, and it will load the data on the fields. You can see that it's loading them, and that's done. It's very fast. So we now see all those data in the Power BI desktop itself. So if we click at the first table, even when we over there, it's showing us that the name of the table is customer, the storage mode is import, and data has just been refreshed. It gives you the time, the date. So if you open this, then you will see the various fields that are in this table. If you click at this table, like we do, it will contextually change things here. See, when we have the table, we just have tools. But when we have the column, it has the column tools showing here. You have to be paying attention to all these few things because they will help you to diagnose problems when you have them. So you will see on this tools column tools tab, all the stuff that you will work with on a column contextually will be there, and the table will generally be the tool that will be there all the time. So when you click this, so these are the things that you do on a table contextually. So let's start from the home tab to get to the rebate. On the home tab, we have the same experience of getting data, and we have various sources. Generally, the most common ones are listed here, but if you need more, you can click more. And when you click more, it will give you the same experience we had just before now, that you go through and choose your data source. We even have PDF, but not all PDF are made equal. It's very painful, and Microsoft have a lot of work to do with that particular Connectors to make sure that it works well, but we'll explain about that. So after the get data under the data group, you have Excel. Of course, Microsoft supports their Excel, which is the baby of data analysis. You have the data hub, which actually gives you Power BI data sets. We'll talk about this when we go to the service also. And you have the data mart. You have SQL. You can enter data, dataverse, or recent sources. Just like on the landing page, we have different sources, and you can even click more to see more sources that you recently worked on. And when you are on the desktop, you want to go to Power Query. You go to the queries. You go to the queries group, where you can click on the queries and click transform data, because it's the Power Query area where you do transformation of data. But note at the bottom you have data source settings, meaning that we have settings that we can talk about for data sources. When we go to the file menu on the rebate, we'll talk about that also. And we have edits of parameters and variables, but these are grayed out because we don't have anything of the form of parameter or variables as yet, so we don't have any way to edit something that is not in existence. So we can refresh the old data sets using this. We also have the insert tab, where we can insert visuals from the app source. App source is area where Microsoft have various vendors that are creating apps, sources of apps or visuals that we can go there, or we can have files, which we'll talk about later. We have text box that we can just click, mostly for edit and other aestheticness of the report, and we can create a new visual right from the back of here. We can create new measures or quick measures. Quick measures are things that Power BI will use their AI at the back of it to help us to generate some calculations or computations that they deem fit, and you will look at it if they are really necessary for your purpose. We have sensitivity, which is more or less of security for the classification of data. So there are some organizations, they want you to know what form of data you're playing with. If you remember the Hillary Clinton saga, and that came up because they were saying you need to, when she was playing with the data was labeled, but that's politics. Let's talk about the reality. Of course, politics is real, but let's talk about what we want to talk about. Every user of the data need to understand the sensitivity of the data. So this is where we publish the data to the service. So this is the home tab. What we see there, we have the insert, where we can talk about visuals, the same app source and the like, new visuals. We have the different, we can add a blank page or duplicate the page that we have at the bottom here. You have Q&A, where you can just click the Q&A and then it gives you recommendations of visuals. You have key influencer, meaning that what influences your measures. And then you have the composition, decomposing those measures to see what contribution they are related. We'll talk about that. And we have smart narrative, paginated report, Power Apps, Power Automate. These are other components of the Power Platform that we can get right from the back from this. And then we have elements in the form of other aesthetics, that you can have images, and of course you can have other shapes, buttons that you can use in your report text box. And of course Microsoft cannot leave Excel alone, because Excel is the template, and therefore they have their Sparkline, which is like a small visuals but very powerful, especially when you're dealing with train. And you have modeling tab. The modeling tab is more or less what you will be using to create relationships. And also you create, when you do modeling, you work a whole lot with the model view, which used to be relationship view. So again, there we talk about measures, relationships, quick measures, create a column or table, or we can detect the data type of what we're doing. Of course, we can talk about parameters there, also create fields or the like on the parameter. So for role level security, we create the rules here, we manage them here. We can set up some questions that we want to our users, or the once we collect information in the area of developing our report, what they will want to really see off the back. We talk about all these things. This is just a quick view. So Microsoft loved the Teams, so they brought it also into Power BI Desktop. You have the general teams, and of course you can browse for more teams and import them in the form of JSON files. We'll go to that. There are lots to learn. So we can fit the whole of the report into a page, or the width, or the actual size, or customize things. We can make different layout, but we'll talk about those. This is more or less for the mobile layout, to see how it will look like after we created the report for the consumption of the mobile section of it, or the mobile component. This is more or less helping us when we do the report to have grid lines. If you have grid lines there, so you're able to snap objects once you walk in. They are nice when you're creating the report, putting various elements, and you can lock certain objects that you don't want to move whilst being consumed by your user. You can talk about filters, your bookmark selections. We go through all those. This is just a brief introduction, and this is more powerful. Here you look about what is Power BI, guided learning, videos, documentation, support, blogs that we talk about, go through the community. This is for developers like us, or you that you are here. The intention is for, at the end of the day, for you to become developers. So we have submit an idea or the like, yada yada. We have examples. You can go to Power BI sample data and the like. So that's for help. External tools will mostly be dealing with Dark Studio, and most probably I'll touch a bit on Tabular Editor and so on and so forth. But on the back end, remember I told you about the options and settings. So we have the options there, and then we have the data source settings. We talk about those and what they are for. But let's go back there, and then you can browse for other files that are not showing here under the recent report. and of course you can save from the back. You can get data also. You remember when we start, I told you can import solutions, so you can come here and import solutions that are even in Excel from Power Query, Power Pivot, or Power View. Microsoft has so far not using Power View. It's been discontinued in my opinion because I'm not seeing much use of it, or them develop it. So you can export your solution as a template or as a PDF, and you can publish from here. Remember we talked about that, and you can get started with Power BI here, which is the get started here. Remember I told you, which is the landing page. So this actually takes us to the rebuild, and of course we talked about the fields. We have the visualization pane, which we can use to build visuals. These are the various visuals, and we have the formatting, which we can use to format the visual. But for now, since there is no visual, the only thing we can format is the canvas itself. So this area, this big real estate, is where the magic works, and that's where we have to work. So we can do a lot of, right here we can change the name of the sheets, say getting started, and you'll see it will change right down there. But normally, except when you are doing some other customization of the page, that you will come here, but normally you add the name from here, and of course you can click here again to have new page. So the last portion now, this is the report view, which is what we're saying, where we build visuals, and that's the default, meaning that that's when we open Power BI, that's where we see. And the next is the table, which gives you a view of the data in the model, and of course the tables will be there. And if you click this, you see a lot of stuff. Of course the columns will show. You can do some brief manipulation of your task with your data that from this point. And of course we also have the model, which used to be the relationship view, where we do the modeling, because when we do the model, we want to see how things connect to one another. We can do a lot of things. At this back, we can give names to certain objects or change names from here, create hierarchies and the like. So this is the long and short of this introduction. It's going to be long. This is my first tutorial entering into teaching, mostly here, and so we're going to take it slowly. Of course, I've been doing teaching in my life before. That's where I start, and it looks like I love it so much. I tend like see myself explaining to people, and seeing that how people reciprocating, listening to me at work. I felt the need that I need to get back to passing my knowledge to others. So here we are now. I hope you'll stay with me. This is just a brief introduction of the desktop. So the next module, in order to cut them down so that I don't just talk, is merely to split them into different modules. Hope you find this useful, and come back again on my channel. And I'll also post this to LinkedIn, Facebook, so that you can see it there. So if you are on my channel, you can find it the same thing there. But yeah, one source will be enough for you. But I just want you to know that I'll be posting it elsewhere. Congratulations, thanks for listening to me, taking your valuable time to listen to me, to be here. I hope this has been pleasurable to you, and it's a journey that we just started. Thank you.